Hi, my name is Linda Cirulli-Burton, and welcome to this channel named Above the Battleground, ACIM. Recently, I found myself thinking about a student from several years back who was crashing and burning in my course. And I sought her out to try to understand why, because she was really a very, very bright girl. And boy, what I learned was that she was crashing and burning in all of her classes. Why? I wanted to know why. And she said something that was very poignant, and I still recall. And that was that she didn't have a goal. She didn't know what she wanted to be. She didn't know what she wanted to do. And she couldn't get motivated at all. And so it makes me think about how our spiritual paths, and certainly for me, A Course in Miracles, makes it very clear what the final goal is. And the final goal is the peace that comes from the union, from the oneness of God the Father and His Son, and the creating and the extending of love. That ultimately is the goal. But what I realize about A Course in Miracles, and perhaps it is the same for you on your spiritual path, that every day provides me an opportunity to see glimpses of that final goal. And in A Course in Miracles, the way that you reach that peace with a capital P is forgiveness. Let me read to you from the introduction to A Course in Miracles, just a couple of sentences. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. And so it is that through the concept of forgiveness, blocks are removed. And that final block is the final goal. So I wanted to share some information regarding the little goals and the big goal in today's presentation. Above the Battleground is based on the teachings of a spiritual self-study path known as A Course in Miracles. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles since 1992, but it's only been over the last few years that I have really redevoted myself to truly understanding and applying the wisdom and the lessons from A Course in Miracles. And it was the purpose of these videos that in sharing what I was finding, that it would go deeper within me and hopefully maybe be of some benefit to you. We believe we live in a world of duality. And of course, I had to traverse the internet and see what I could come up with. And this is what worked best for me for this talk. Life in these bodies is built around the premise that every state of being has its natural opposite. And so, for example, hot and cold, sun, moon, up, down, short, tall. And I have often said that A Course in Miracles meets us where we are. And so if we believe that we live in a world of duality, so it is that in this world of illusion, there is the split mind. There is one mind that is the mind of darkness, the wrong mind, the mind of ego, the mind of sin, guilt, fear, and every other rotten thing you see going on in the world today. And then there is the other mind, and that is the right mind, the mind of spirit, the mind that holds the memory of God, of love, of oneness, of brothers and sisters and friends. Over there, it's something different. So even though A Course in Miracles would say both of them are illusory, it is that we have been gifted with a decision maker who can choose the right mind against the wrong mind. And in that choice lead us closer and closer to the goal. And the goal is 100% non-dualistic. It is that sense of oneness and union with God and no sensation of any opposite. As it says, and let me just say, as it says, the course can be summed up very simply. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So that is what is really very exciting. So within the split mind and what it is we can do to reach that mind of spirit on a daily basis, what does that look like? Well, the concept would have to mean the use of forgiveness as the tool that can get us every day closer and closer to our goal, the peace of God. So the ego made the world as it perceives it, but the Holy Spirit, the reinterpreter of what the ego made, sees the world as a teaching device for bringing you home. So in the world of duality, I can embrace the lessons that are showing up, that I can make a different choice and find my way home. All right, so what I wanted to say, and this gets very exciting, is that there are little signposts along the way, and they could be aptly described as holy instants. So let me share what the glossary index says about a holy instant. It's an instant outside time in which we choose forgiveness instead of guilt, the miracle instead of a grievance, the Holy Spirit instead of the ego, the expression of our little willingness to live in the present, which opens into eternity, rather than holding on to the past and fearing the future, which keep us in hell. Also used to denote the ultimate holy instant, the real world, the culmination of all the holy instants we have chosen along the way. What if we could reach a moment in time where that decision to choose the mind of spirit became so automatic? It became something that we did every single day. Well, my gosh, think about the ramifications. Think about the joy that would happen as a result of this. So there are those little signposts, and I think of them now, or I was certainly thinking about them today, is like, pearls on a string, a holy instant, another holy instant. So what could it look like? Well, a couple of things have happened over this past week. One was the realization that I had great anger towards a particular group of people, and I didn't want to have it. When great anger really amounts to judgment calls, right? And so what I was confronting was, how can I get there? What will get me or melt the judgment, or certainly help me in the process of melting the judgment? So it happened that I was with a large group of people, and after the presentation, a gentleman came up to me who wanted to engage me in a talk, and I'll be darned if he didn't have the key factor for me to help me dissolve my judgments. In conversation with him, I learned a compassionate perspective towards a particular group of people that allowed me to see their fear, to understand what they were experiencing and how their worlds were falling apart. And that anything that I perceived in terms of an attack on me really wasn't an attack on me. It was instead a projection of their own fears. It was so amazing because I try to practice this on a very daily basis, But sometimes I get stopped up. Sometimes I'm not so good. But because of the willingness that I have to melt my judgment calls, because for me, those are the blocks around my heart. And as I choose the mind of spirit, there is a melting of the block. The block is removed. And then there was another episode where I wanted to feel very self-righteous. And I won't get into all the details, but I will tell you that a dear friend of mine, was involved in a theatrical production that I had never been attracted to for decades, really. And I kind of really did feel judgmental, no question about it. And I really fought with myself about whether or not to attend. And I'm going to tell you this, that love won. Love won. Instead of me having to be judgmental, instead I saw that for me to attend this production was an act of love for my lovely friend. And her response to me when I told her that I had my ticket and what time I would be showing up, her joy helped my gut, if you will. My gut just loosened up, and I felt the joy. I felt the joy of what I think I brought her. So I'm going to say, when I'm feeling self-righteous, when I'm thinking I have to be right, I have to be morally superior, I have to get in the last word, get in the last word. I have to be right. I have to be right. And I'm going to tell you, each and every time that there is a melting of a judgment within me, I am so happy. I don't even know how to describe it. I feel elevated. I feel that these little goals are leading me to the great big goal. In fact, what's happening is that I am having glimpses of the final goal of peace and oneness. It's been a nice week. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to sharing with you again.